Every single day, people take unwanted or unused items to thrift and antique stores across the country. But as the saying goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and we're here to prove it. Identify valuable things before you throw them away. Join us as we show and tell of treasures found and sold by a full-time reseller with the hopes of helping you find some treasures of your own. Welcome to the What's Sold podcast.
Welcome back to the What's Sold podcast as usual. It is Brandon. I don't remember what the name you gave me, Matt.
You
Moondoggy.
gave yourself Moondog. Yeah.
Did I get Moondog?
I mean, that was that's your college nickname, isn't it?
It should be. It wasn't, but it should have been for certain. Yeah. So I am Brandon. This is Matt, also known as Cousin Rusty.
Mm-hmm.
That is a loaded term these days because there's some people out there that they want Cousin Rusty. They do not want Matt and Brandon. They want good old Cousin Rusty. But here's what I'm going to say to those people right now, if you're listening. You're all cousins, and I love you.
You're all cousins to us.
That's right. Yep. And we're excited that you're listening. We're excited that you're part of the show. This is the very first show of the new year, 2025. It's pretty crazy to think that we're in 2025. So when you think about the century, it feels like the turn of the century just happened. I don't know anybody that's out there listening that's like kind of a little bit older, but it doesn't feel like the turn of the century was that long ago. But we're already 25 years into this new century. So, kind of crazy to think that we're a quarter of the way through it.
Yeah, and also if you look back, everything that's happened in the last half century, let's say the last 50 years, the technology particularly, also healthcare, but specifically the advancements in technology, it's staggering. I don't know I wouldn't be surprised if the acceleration of technological advance over the last 50 years is the largest leap that we've made in such a small amount of time. I don't know that for sure, but if you think about, we went from landline telephones to cellular phones, we went from mega computers or no computers to mega computers, then personal home computers, then laptops, then cell phones. We all have a little computer in our pocket, and then just the communication piece worldwide in real time, satellites and what they can do for us. And then that's like that's a universe looking down on Earth scope. But if we isolate on, say, my life, 25 years ago, what I wanted to do, what I thought I'd be doing, fast forward to now. I mean, 2000, this will date me, but 2000 is when I graduated high school. I was a millennium graduate.
Yeah.
So in the last 25 years, I'm in my third career, and all in different fields, learning different skills along the way. Some of that was my own choice. Some of that I had to react to something that I couldn't control. And what do the next 25 years look like?
Yeah.
So 2050, I will not even attempt to predict because my life is so different than I ever thought it would be. I don't know about you, if you feel the same way, or are you right at home?
I thought I was going to be a pilot, and then I grew to be 6'5", and I was like, I'm not going to be a pilot. So... Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's a healthy way of looking at it, though. We do not know what's going to happen even tomorrow. I mean, we love doing this show, but I often think to myself, well, Matt and I could talk one day and go, let's just do something else. And so it's fun to do, but I think you kind of got to hold everything loosely. And, it's interesting. There's a term called cultural lag. I know this is a show about reselling, but every once in a while we're going to drop just a tiny speck of knowledge. There's a term called cultural lag. I remember my high school biology teacher talking about it, and it always stuck with me. And it was this idea of whenever a new invention is introduced into a society, it takes 7 years on average for the society to kind of embrace and accept.
Fully adopt it? Okay.
Fully adopt, to understand it. So like the telephone or the automobile, and I think, 04, started driving the Iron Beasts around. They're still driving horses and buggies, right? And so it takes 7. Just take the last 20 years. How many of those crazy, life-changing, universal-changing inventions have happened to us? Everyone, no matter who you are, has been affected by this. There was no eBay, 20 years ago? I did have to do some fact checking on you. eBay was founded in San Jose. It was founded. I knew there was a connection to Peter Thiel, but I think it was eBay was founded, and then they did other things out. There are a lot of people that came out of eBay, but eBay was sort of the founding.
It was like early
principle.
90s, early mid 90s. I think. I mean, I've been
so,
selling.
was it?
I purchased my first item, which was a little camera, like a video camera with those tiny little tapes that went in it, you know? In 1999. And then I sold my first item in 2000. So here we are, almost 2025. I've been selling on eBay for almost 25 years.
95. Good point. Okay. So it's been 30 years since eBay.
So 30 years since eBay. I've been using it since year 5, of them being in business. And not full-time, though, except for the last 4 years. So, okay, so not to cut you off, it was founded in the mid-90s in San Jose.
Right. But, oh, no, you didn't. What I was going to say is that, so let's just say 30, I mean, really with the introduction of the internet, we see e-commerce sites happen. And eBay would be sort of the grandfather of those e-commerce sites, especially at least in the United States. And I know there are other platforms worldwide. But it's fascinating to think that I had to buy some stuff, and I don't even think about going to brick and mortar really first anymore. I think about going to an e-commerce site to buy my stuff and have it shipped to me, because I just don't do it that way. And I think as resellers, a lot of people that have come to this, especially older people, have to embrace that paradigm, that people just shop differently now. So we're going to have to be creative in how we do things if we want to be a merchant in that space. And obviously that's why we do this show. But, it's just really interesting to me to think that eBay's only been around for 30 years, and now it's completely ubiquitous. Everyone uses eBay, Amazon, all these e-commerce sites. So I don't really know where I was going with that, other than it just boggles my mind as we enter the 2025s and beyond.
Yeah, the advancements and how it's changed our lives, how we shop, for example, which is applicable to this podcast specifically, and that I do make a living from people having changed the way that they shop or the types of things that they shop for, deciding to shop on an e-commerce site. Right. And that's how I'm not an Amazon seller, though I could have thrown all my eggs into that basket. But
What's the difference between an Amazon seller and an eBay seller? Out of curiosity, if you want to set it up an Amazon store, what's the difference?
So Amazon is not really a site that has a seller like myself in mind. I'm not their ideal seller. Their ideal seller are companies that have more product that they produce. So it's almost like a hub. It's not unlike, okay, I make a particular product and I want to increase my reach, so I need to try to get into Walmart stores, right, with my product. Walmart doesn't make the items, get vendors of items, and they put them all into their store. So I say that they may produce some things themselves, but it's essentially a bunch of vendors. And that's what Amazon is. It was born from a man who had experience with logistics, of how to transport and how to ship things and that sort of thing. That was I believe that was Bezos's big.
He was a finance guy who that was his area of expertise.
Exactly. And so that site started off with more like just books and things, and now it's expanded to everything else. But if I want to sell something on Amazon, I really need to I want to have a specific niche of things. I need to be able to fulfill those pretty quickly. It's not really for antiques. It's for new products. It's new items. And it could be used, like a used book or something, but there aren't stores that have, like my store, for example, has a bunch of things in different categories, different eras, different types of items. That's not what Amazon wants. They want me to say, I sell this particular type of LED flashlight, at this fixed price, and then people buy it and or not. And then I'm competing with the other people that sell that product. But I'm not competing with people who sell other products. Well, they care because I think that it has to do with reliability, having certain, they want somebody that's going to have a large volume of things that they can offer that will fit very neatly into a particular category. Even if I say go out and buy a pair of Nike shoes from like a Ross or a TJ Maxx, so they're being sold by a secondhand retailer, but they're still brand new in the sense that no one's bought them and used them. If I bought that and then I wanted to go home and put that on Amazon, I can't do that. There are certain items that are quote unquote gated, like categories, where I have to jump through some of these other hoops. It's either I have to sell a certain volume of things, or I have to show them that there's these different requirements that I mean, eBay, it's simple. You go in, you set up a free account, you have a store, you start listing things. As long as you don't list something that's in violation of their policies, it's very straightforward and easy. With Amazon, it's not like that. There's a lot more that goes into it. And, if I were someone who bought like overstock stuff and I was getting whole pallets of the same item where I could make one listing in Amazon and it be 700 or 2,000 of the same item. Now I'm someone that Amazon would be interested in having. But if I'm like, I got one of these pair of Nike shoes, they're not out there for people who have just a handful of things. That's not.
It's kind of interesting. I wonder if it's just the way the site is set up, because ultimately, to Amazon, they're going to take a cut of any of those Amazon resellers, or those sellers. Like I think about a used bookstore. I get a lot of used books on Amazon because there are certain books you can't find unless you go to Amazon.
And if you're willing to get a paperback copy, it's going to be cheaper, and if it's in decent condition.
Yeah. So anyway, it's there's another. I jotted it down. Get an Amazon reseller on here. I'd be very curious to talk to like an Etsy reseller, an Amazon reseller, to talk about what's the difference and what's the economic difference between these guys. This is our first show of 2025. Welcome to the quarter century conundrum that we're in, I guess, the mark, whatever you want to call it. It's good to be back with everybody. So good holiday for you, Matt? Enjoyable?
Yeah, just spending time with family, kind of laying low. No traveling for us this year. We sort of stayed put.
So glorious. Glorious.
Yeah. I mean, how about yourself? Did you guys stay put?
No,
travel?
we are 100% home.
Okay.
So, there's no one trip to the most magical place on earth, Dollywood, to see the Christmas lights and do the Christmas show. But other than that, I have said this, I'm pretty sure I've said this on
Eastern Tennessee, for those of you who are not aware.
Or
near the Smoky Mountains.
Or in Paradise, as I like to call it. Right there in beautiful Pigeon Forge, North
Pigeon
Carolina.
Forge.
Actually, Pigeon Forge is a little bit like Myrtle Beach or the Fisherman's Wharf. It's a little touristy, it's
Gatlinburg. It's in that area.
Yeah, but Dollywood itself is just. I'm not even a big fan of amusement parks, but I am a big fan of Miss Dolly and what she's done there at the park. So other than that, staying close to home. I don't really like to travel at the holidays. I like to carve a chunk of time out. We've talked about this when you have your own business. How do you do that? But to me, I still have to work. I still have to get things done. So I love that it slows down a little bit. I love that you get to have fun dinners with family. But that's why I love the holidays. I've talked about this. But
yes.
But I don't really love I went out shopping one day a couple weeks ago, and it was just, I cringe because it's just so, it's like it's Saigon. So I apologize to any Vietnam vets that are out there, but it feels like Saigon 1975 with the helicopters getting pushed off the carrier. It's just chaos and craziness.
And he is not exaggerating at all, people. That's exactly what it is.
I do not have a penchant for exaggeration or hyperbole. All right. I know that the Christmas weeks and the holidays can be a little bit slow, but did you sell anything at all, or did you just kind of lay low?
The first 2 weeks of December were very low in sales, but it has picked up afterwards. So it ended up being around an average month. I would have expected it to be above average because typically the end of the fourth quarter is better than this. So that speaks a little bit to, I guess, the state of the economy or just people's spending habits. I mean, I need to keep an eye on that, right? Like that's an important thing. If I can't rely on the type of sales in the fourth quarter that I used to be able to, that I expect now based on my experience, then, that changes things a little bit. But we can get into that another time. I definitely did sell a handful of things, many of which I've already shipped off. I have probably 15 things on the floor, and then I pulled a handful of things up here. So I'm just going to go through them. These are not all like sexy items, but these are just general things that I've sold recently. One is just a little plastic bag, and it's just full of probably around 25 keys. There are different types of keys. They go to various types of locks. Some of these would be padlocks. Some of these would probably be something like a bike lock, or maybe this is like to a safe. Maybe some of these are car keys. It could just vary. But this bag of just random keys, you would probably think, most people would think, if I just have a random key, like I don't even know what it goes to. Certainly nobody else does. It just needs to go in the trash, right? No, I keep these together. I buy these in groups at flea markets, antique sales, yard sales. And this sold for $15. So
why? Who do they sell to?
Yeah, that's a great question. Somebody on there saw the lot, and they found probably a couple keys. They're looking for a particular key, or they see keys, they know keys, they This is something that they're interested in. Maybe they collect them or something. They see some that they don't have, or they see something that they know is valuable as a standalone item, which I didn't take the time to research every single one of these because for me, it's not cost effective to do so. I know that even if I find a really valuable one in here, it's not going to be worth that much.
Rewind the tape a little bit.
Yeah.
Rewind the tape just a little bit. You can't reuse any of these keys, right?
Sure you could.
Like you. Well, no,
I mean, not like you can't rekey it. No.
You can't rekey it, is what I'm saying. So
nope.
if you don't
blanks.
find the original item that they went with, then it's just a key that maybe you want to make a key necklace out of. I don't know.
There are people who they just sell keys, right? So they'll buy this lot. It's no different than what I do. I buy a lot of costume jewelry, then I sell them either individually or in smaller, similar lots. It's very possible the person's doing this too. They're like, I'm going to make $2 to $5 per key. I'm buying 25 for $15. I'm 40 some cents in, whatever the calculation is, and then I'm going to sell these off. Or maybe he sells a bunch of old like tackle boxes or tool boxes, tool chests and things, and he knows that some of these go to that. You're going to sell your item with a key, right? Or a lock with a key for more than a lock without a key, and there you go. I mean, it could be as simple as that. Some people just collect them. I have a little container full of probably 200 or 300 other keys. And it's interesting. Sometimes when you find those, you do find some cool things. Like I found a key that went to a 40-something Model T Ford vehicle, a car key, which that's old. I mean, so somebody out there might want that key. Maybe Grandpa used to have, one of these, and you're going to buy that as like a funny little gift for him for Christmas, right? I remember, or somebody has this vehicle and they want to find an original key to go. So back then it wasn't like they had dozens of different options. There were like two or three different versions of keys back that far. I mean, even back in the 90s, one of my best friends growing up with had a same make, different model of vehicle, but his car key would unlock my car and start my engine. And that was in the 90s. So,
awesome.
You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, it was awesome, except for when he would go out and drive it to the other side of the parking lot and leave it. Then I come out and can't find my car. But
that is awesome.
Keys.
I'm going to posit a theory on who I think are buying these keys back.
Okay.
I don't think it's anything of what you just said.
Okay.
I believe there's
crafters.
I believe there's an international organization of gangsters like Hydra from the Marvel comics,
my goodness.
who has technology that can look at those keys and finds these are keys to like a star chamber. So I believe that this is part of a much greater mystery. A little bit. What was that Nicolas Cage movie where he goes behind the what's the statues in oh my gosh, in South Dakota.
It's like National Treasure or whatever.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that what
National
it was?
Treasure, exactly. Remember they go into what's the name of why can't I think of this? Where the 5 statues of the presidents.
Mount Rushmore?
Mount Rushmore, thank you. Oh my gosh, senior moment right there. On air, I like to say an on-air moment. So, I think that's who this group of people is. I think it's an international cabal that's collecting these keys for nefarious. I'm just putting it out there.
You may be correct. However, I think it's more likely that it's somebody who does artwork, like mixed media artwork with keys. It's a steampunk thing. They're like, I'm going to pay $15. I'm going to put these in with some of my stuff, and then I'm going to try to sell this for $500.
Well, thanks for ruining my story,
I
Matt.
mean, maybe it is yours. We'll just say it's yours.
Okay, excellent.
Another thing that's sold is this. It's in a little box, its own box, but it's a snowflake. It's made out of, it's a Swarovski crystal ornament made like a snowflake. And so I'm selling several of these different types for someone else locally. And this is that time of year, right? It's Christmas. People are buying ornaments to put on their tree. So that makes sense. This particular one sold for $20, which is pretty good. I mean, it's older, but it comes with the original box. That's either for somebody's tree or that's a gift for someone else.
That's
most
cool.
likely. Yeah.
And it's in its original box, so it has more intrinsic value, right?
Correct. Yeah. If you get things, if you can save the box, I mean, nobody wants to have a closet full of boxes of stuff you never play. But certain collectible things, like if I buy something that I think has collector value, or I'm buying it to hold on to for value, like I want to get it in the best possible condition in its original packaging if possible. I mean, that's why coin collectors, they prefer to get something slabbed, which means it's already been authenticated and graded to tell you how nice it is. Ideally, it's going to be an uncirculated coin, meaning it's never been spent. It's never been in someone's pocket, right? So like best possible condition. So yeah, anytime you find things, if you're out buying, you're almost always, you're going to do better, certainly not worse. You're going to do better to have the original packaging.
Yeah. It's the same thing with reselling electronics or anything, is that if you have the original box, that's why I hang on to, like, just with electronics, I hang on to the box, because I know that for myself, if I'm buying something that the box is, I don't know why, it really didn't change anything, but it just makes you feel like you're getting something more legit, I guess.
Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. A couple more things here. I'm not going to take this out of the bag because it's a little bit fragile, but it is a small leather-bound book. It's probably about 4 inches wide by 6 inches tall, fairly thick. This is a Swedish dictionary, but it's from 1790.
Whoa! Really?
And yeah, very, very old. And this sold for $40. I probably paid $5 for it, no more than that, at just like a thrift store. I can usually tell the really old ones, they usually have leather bound. A lot of times they're leather bound. They're usually in really rough condition. The spine on this one, the leather is completely off the spine. So the condition is rough. But there are a lot of collectors out there for antique books. Definitely ones in the 1800s, but when you get older, when you get in the 1700s or earlier, the values really start to jump up, even with bad condition books. And, it depends on the title, what the value will be, but something even as, not as... This can't be terribly common, but also I'm sure it's not the rarest thing. Like, they made several of these, I'm sure. This is not the only one that they made. Maybe a person just collects dictionaries from that era.
Is it a Swedish-English dictionary or just pure Swedish dictionary?
It's both. It's a Swedish-English.
Wow.
So it's translated.
I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't a family that had immigrated to the United States with that as a family thing,
sure.
And then it was just passed down over the years.
Yep.
And
then
shows
donated
up wherever.
when somebody, they're like, oh, I don't care about this. It's out.
Right.
It's going out the door. That's exactly right. That's how most things end up at thrift stores. It's either just families cleaning out during the year, or someone passed and they have bigger problems to solve. So they don't want to spend the time with it. They got to get the stuff out, sell the house, and so they either work with an estate sale place or they just take stuff in boxes and just donate it.
Is there a time of the year that you've seen more donations happen? I mean, it's the holidays. I mean, summertime.
Around the holiday, I would say right after Christmas. A little bit before and right after, because new things have come in, so we're going to be out with the outdated stuff. Okay, the kids have too many toys now. You don't ever play with these. Get these out of the house. And then in the spring and summer, when people are just doing cleaning, spring cleaning, clean out the garage, clean out the storage unit, whatever it is. Those are the times when I see quite a bit. Yep. Here's another item. This one's I'm kind of excited about. Again, this is something I'm selling for someone else, but it is a bracelet that have these interesting shaped links. And this is unlike anyone I've ever seen. When you put it on, it is shaped like a buckle, like a belt buckle, but the stones are all something called angel skin coral, which is coral from the ocean, but it's a pink color. These have not been dyed. This is the actual color. And this is a very old piece. This is probably 19 teens. The metal is brass, and then it's coral, and some of them are little round coral pieces that have been put onto a little metal post that's been soldered for it. They drill a little hole, and then they put a little glue in there to hold it on, and then the rest are links. But want to venture to guess what this would have sold for? Again, it's an antique.
$500.
No, I wish it had sold for $500. Half that. Sold for $250.
$250 is still pretty good.
But still pretty good. Yeah, I mean, this is, an old piece of jewelry. I don't know if a person just collects this. Some people collect just coral jewelry. Maybe somebody wants it to wear.
Where did you pick that up? Were you selling that for somebody?
I was selling it for someone else, yes. It was something that they had inherited, didn't really care a lot about, figured it had some value, and put that with other things that they gave me to sell for them. So I'm happy. I won't be able to pay them out for another month because I have a 30-day return window. But I owe her some money for stuff that sold last month. So I got to get her some of that. And then next month, we've got at least her portion of this sale coming as well, which is nice. It's exciting to get some month in. Every time they get a call from me, it's because they're going to get some money. You know?
Yeah, that's always
So they like it. And
fun.
they think, oh, what else can I get you? You know?
It's always nice to be appreciated when you call. Like, what's bad? I'm going to answer.
Exactly. The last thing I'll show is this little, it's more like a handbag. It's not really a purse. I guess you could call it a purse, but it's very small. It's almost the size of a wallet, but it has a little handle on it, a little leather handle. And the thing that makes this, sellable, special is that it's a Coach brand, the brand Coach.
Yeah.
Now,
I have a Coach wallet.
They aren't super high end, but they are, a collectible brand. They are a recognizable brand. Some stuff is highly collectible, but they also produce a lot of stuff nowadays. And this is one it's not terribly valuable. This sold for $28. Again, this was something. So a lot of these things that sold today are things that I'm selling for other people. I would tell you how much money I have in it, except that I didn't have. The book, $5 or less. The keys, I probably have nothing in at this point because they came with a bunch of other costume jewelry, other things. I pull all kinds of strange stuff out of these lots, and I'll keep them together until I have enough to sell as a group. These keys may have come from 2 or 3 different lots. I just pulled out all the keys, put them together, and then I sell this bag of keys. And I'm trying to find creative ways to maximize the money that I can get whenever I have a large group of things.
Yeah. So I was watching did you see the 60 Minutes reports on the House of Hermes? The French handbag. It's fascinating. I don't know if anybody watched it, but I guess they started off as saddle makers and they became, apparently they make these. I'm not a connoisseur of handbags, Matt, believe it or not.
What?
I don't actually. My wife loves a good handbag. And these are handbags that go for like $30,000. And I was thinking to myself, man, what if somebody gave, just accidentally donated one of those to like I don't know, somebody had a Hermes bag, they passed away, they gave it to a family, and family was like, I don't care about this. They donated it, and it turns out it's an actual Hermes. What happens if somebody finds something like that?
Well, it depends on where you donate it. If, I have heard stories of people finding things that are highly valuable at thrift stores. And in some cases, they will come back and say, listen, do you know who donated this? Because I think this is an accident. Or they don't realize that they just gave me something that's worth $100,000. There have also been times when a person buys a thing from a thrift store for $5, knowing full well that it's valuable. And then they go off and sell it. And then the thrift store or the person who donated it tries to sue the person who sold it and wants to keep all the money. So there's all kinds of interesting things out there. But if you go to a thrift store and you find something that's valuable, it's up to you what you do with that. If you know when you're in there and you feel guilty about taking that priceless item, and not giving them any more for it than what they're asking, then have a conversation with them. But it's yours if you find it. You're not going to find something like that at Goodwill because a few years ago, they changed their business model. Used to, they didn't really sort a bunch of stuff and send it elsewhere. It was just whatever came to the store was sold in the store, and they gave guidance. But now they have a very particular sorting method and stringent guidelines, and they look through things to the best of their ability, and things like that, jewelry that needs to be tested, really all jewelry. They don't even sell, in most Goodwills, they don't sell any jewelry anymore at all. It all gets sent off to another subset department of Goodwill. They do their tests and all this stuff, and then they sell stuff on auction on their Shop Goodwill website. That website is for stuff that is probably and or definitely more valuable. So the chances you're going to find something highly valuable in a Goodwill is almost non-existent. But other like local thrift stores where they don't have that practice, they don't sell things online, they maybe have transient employees, they have people who aren't really trained on how to research, maybe they have so much volume that they have to go through it quickly and can't research stuff. Now that's the kind of place you can find something valuable. But you're also going to be competing with people like me who are going out and trying to find it. So it doesn't, if you don't find something that day, it doesn't necessarily mean there wasn't something valuable. It might mean that I'm laughing myself home because I got it before you got there. Or you're doing it and I'm bummed because I got there on Tuesday when I should have got there on Monday when it opened.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, some of it is the luck of timing.
Right. And it's also, there's probably experience involved in understanding when
but
things
I know
are.
people who live in an area of town in Asheville, and they only really go to 2 places to source ever, but they go there every day, sometimes twice a day.
Really?
Yep. They'll go to one in the morning. They'll wait until the afternoon, about an hour or two before they close, they'll go again. And they do that every day. So the chances, because things are being put out in these stores every day at different times of the day, and so they're hoping that increasing the frequency will increase their chances of finding that thing before somebody else, a competitor.
Does it work?
You'll never know, right? I mean, you won't know. Right. I mean, if you find more things when you go more often, then it could be that you're getting first dibs. It also could mean that you're just like, no matter how, if you go more, you're going to find more, regardless of, you know what I mean, what they're right. putting out. So,
do you ever work deals with the people that run these places to get the first look?
You know, I know that happens, and I don't do that. And part of it is that I feel like I would be cheating in a way a little bit. Now, if I have done things where I develop a relationship and then they'll say, hey, I've got this stuff that, you know, you want to buy all this stuff from me. And I guess I'm getting an opportunity that other people aren't getting, but it may be a big sale. It's not just one thing, or I'm not going back once a week and taking a look at stuff that people haven't seen yet. Most places don't do that. Most places don't want to do that. It's bad for business if that information gets out. But if it's just a little mom and pop place and like they set the rules so they can do what they want. But a larger place like Goodwill, like they don't allow that. If they found out an employee was doing that, they would fire that employee, most likely.
Okay. So it's probably against company policy then.
It is for a larger group like that. But an independently owned communal, like a community-based thrift store, they can do that if they want. They can sell stuff out the back door. They can sell stuff online. They could pluck it before anyone else knows. That's the thing about that, is that it's all donations. So there is no record really of what came in. The only record is what went out and how much it got paid for. And so, you know, a lot of these places are nonprofits. Some of them are for-profits. I'd like to think that the profit is going directly to the stated mission of the nonprofit, right? Which is what it's supposed to do. But if it's not, and if they don't have cameras, like, who knows what's going on in there? It's not for me to know, because I'm just the patron. I'm just the person coming in to try to buy. But I have had places that I've worked for helping them sell things. So this wasn't an opportunity where I bought stuff. It was more, and we talked about this on a previous episode, but they have got you would be shocked at how much valuable stuff does get donated to these places. Gold jewelry, silver jewelry, high-end things like handbags or sculptures or artwork or stuff. It just gets donated. And they have this, maybe they see it and they're like, this is a 100-gram, 18-karat solid gold necklace. No one's going to come in here and pay $3,500 for this. This is what it's worth. So they just keep it out. And guess what? Over a few months, now they have this tub full of gold jewelry, and they still don't know what to do with it. Well, in walks me. And we start having a conversation, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a reseller. They see me looking at the jewelry, and I'm this guy that looks like I look like, middle-aged guy with a beard. And they're like, "Are you a reseller?" And I go, "Yeah." Isn't it obvious? And we both laugh. It's like it's a disarming response.
Right.
I'm owning up to it. I'm not defensive. Also, I'm not taking myself too seriously, but I'm clearly open to having a conversation. Like, all of that is communicated. When I say that, we both laugh about it. Like, instantly, they're okay with me. And then I have a conversation, and I say, yeah. I'm like, well, what kinds of things do you sell? Oh, well, that's a good question. A lot of jewelry, a lot of this and that. I also sometimes help other thrift stores sell things. Oh, really? Tell me about that. I get into it and like, well, you know what? I've got all of this stuff back there. This is exactly what I need. Somebody who knows more about it. And then all of a sudden I walk out with someone's phone number to call me to get together, and I'll either do it for them or I'll teach one of their employees in the back how to do it. And especially, like, either way, they're going to make more money. I get them a bigger audience. I help them sell it faster than they could sell it for more money that they could sell it for. And if I teach one of their employees, that's invaluable. How do you even quantify how much money, extra money they're going to earn now that I've taught somebody how to research, inspect, and then sell the high-end items online? That might double their profits right there. You never know. So that's a whole other avenue. Like, if you are kind of like, well, I like the reselling gig, but just going out all the time looking for stuff, like, it gets exhausting, it's tiring, it's fun to find the things, but then it's hard to maybe just see if you can go work for other people selling consignment, or get a relationship with a nonprofit that you like. Maybe it's a nonprofit that supports people with mental illness. It's a nonprofit that helps the aging populations, and you want to give back in some way. How do you do that? Maybe you just go in and help this thrift store increase their profitability. I mean, it will pay for itself. You're going to make so much more money for them that it would easily, they don't have to factor in another, salary to pay you, because you'll get paid as the stuff sells, and then they're going to make more money. So they're getting a skilled laborer almost for free, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I've done some of that in the past. I dabble in different things, but I know I can fall back on that stuff. If, in fact, before too awful long, I'm going to reach out to some of these thrift stores around here, Brandon, that have been flooded out. I know that some of those places are still getting donations, but they don't have the ability to reopen yet. What happens to all that stuff? What happens to all the places that they donated thousands and thousands of pieces of clothing and all this stuff, and now people aren't coming to get it anymore? What do they do with that stuff?
Right.
Some people have a plan. They get it on a truck. They know where it goes. Other people are like, I have no idea. Someone needs to step in and say, well, people still need money and help, and you've got all these items, but you don't know what to do with it. Let me teach you, or give it to me. I'll sell it, and then we partner on this. There's all kinds of possibilities.
We're not really talking about high-end auction houses right now, but how does one become somebody that can look at an item, and, I mean, is it just flat out in the field experience, or can people go to school for this to learn how to do this?
Yeah, I mean, people go to school. Like, for example, the Brunk Auction House in Asheville, where I've sold things before, their employees, most of them have degrees in things like art history or ceramics or things like that. So they have some sort of a foundational education, but then maybe they've worked for them. Maybe they've bought and sold before. Maybe they've worked for lower end auction houses. Maybe they've had their own business. Maybe they did art restoration or something, and then eventually one of these jobs came up, so that whenever they show the profiles of their staff, you're going to see this person's over fine jewelry. This person is over ceramics and glass. This person is over, antique artwork. And then when you look, you're going to say, oh, okay, well, they work for this museum for a period of time, so they have both education and experience. Other people are fresh out of college, and they don't have like a high-end job, but they're operating on inspecting, researching items that they've agreed to sell, but are not super high-end and don't fall into one of those specific categories that somebody else with a lot of education is overseeing, and they do that work. So someone like me could apply for a job at a place like that. Depends on how badly they need somebody and how they felt about my experience and the interaction with me when I interviewed, but someone like me might be qualified to do some work there. You don't necessarily have to have a degree, but again, part of that position is not just the work you're doing, but it's also them being able to show your biography or your short bio to somebody else who's a prospective buyer, and then overall they're going to say, okay, these people know what they're talking about. These people have the experience I'm looking for. So it's a bit of a marketing piece there as well.
Yeah, it's the bona fides are always, or the bona fides, as they would say if you were speaking Latin, to have that.
We're not going to speak. No, not right now.
It is one of those things where having that on a resume, so to speak, looks good. If you want somebody to trust you, it's like, oh, okay, I know. Now, the person could have had none of those, but be an absolute expert. And I guess it would just take longer for them they still have to develop that reputation of being that kind of expert. All right, our last few minutes here, Matt. I would love to talk to you about some updates. A few updates from you. I feel like you've been a little cagey about a few things, and I want to keep our hey, if nothing else, we want to keep Cousin Rusty honest here on the show. So we had talked about selling an art piece for our friend. I think it was Christine or Caroline. I can't remember the name.
Christina.
Christina, thank you. I knew there was something. So Christina, did you sell that art piece? Is it still sitting in the vault somewhere?
It is actually on the wall in my office right now, so it doesn't get damaged. Also, so I can enjoy it while it's here.
Sure.
The update is it has not sold. I was hoping that I could get an auction house locally on board to sell it. We were also trying to get in touch with some museums or other authorities that might be willing to come out and say what they think it is, give us some sort of we do or do not believe that this is by a particular artist, that we think it likely could be buy. It's not signed. As of yet, we've not got anybody to say, yeah, we'll take it into an appraisal. I'm going to look and see if I can get an appraisal evaluation done around here and get her that information. I think the auction house has passed not because it isn't a nice piece, but because it's so large. And I'm wondering if, and maybe it's just not the kind of thing that they have a large buyer market for. And so they're concerned that they would say yes, they'd get it and it wouldn't sell. They'd have to hold on to it for a while. It is old and fragile. They have to be careful with storing it. So no one has said, yeah, we want to take that yet. I'm going to try to find a private buyer or get an evaluation on it. The other thing is, as soon as, within the next week or two, Antique Roadshow should be releasing their 2025 dates. And my plan is to try to get several people I know to put their name in. It's really for me, but we're going to get lots of people to try to get accepted to come to one of the shows. And if that happens, we're going to take this piece and see if we can.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Can you imagine me shaving back to the mustache, wearing my Bass Pro hat and the glasses, and being Rusty on Antique Roadshow and being interviewed?
Yeah, that might be a spin-off show right there.
Right. So that's on the. We're going to try to pull that off, and this is all dependent upon whether or not she, obviously, if we get selected, and if she wants to do that. If so, we'll try to do that. If not, I may, she can either go in my place, or I may find something of my own I want to take. But that's the update there. The restoration work is done. I think it looks decent, not fantastic. It is an old piece. It's the oil paint is crackled all over. It has clearly had multiple spots that have been repaired over time, but it's still an attractive piece. So yeah, that's the update there.
Okay, last update, and then we're out of time, as they say. I would love to know what happened to the Crazy Scotsman, the painting you had behind your shoulder forever of the not old, but he looked like he would carry a cane or a club, and it had a big hole in it, and you were going to repair it. Where are we on that?
So this is not a good update. It is still here, but it is on its way out into the trash bin, unfortunately.
No!
Because in the last month of things being shoveled around the office, something fell onto it and made another enormous tear. That anything can be repaired, really, but this would have been... I don't know. It's so large too. It's roughly the same size as the other painting, and so the amount of time it would take to do that work, it's just not, because it might take me years to sell that even once it's repaired, because it's a specialty thing. So no, I don't really have anything that I'm restoring right now, except I have one thing that I'm creating. This will be a teaser. This way you can ask for an update, or I can give you an update.
Before we do that,
yeah.
I'm imagining a couple of Scotsmen in Edinburgh sitting around. Like, I wonder whatever happened to the old Gladsberry.
I know.
That painting was worth millions. I wonder whatever happened to it. It just disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the dumpster behind Matt's house. That's what happened.
Not yet. I will see. Oh
my gosh, that breaks my heart.
I hate it too. I knew the longer I kept it here, something might happen because of where I had it. And yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
so this is
that and the Loch Ness Monster are the two biggest mysteries of Scotland. So. All right, the teaser. Give us a teaser.
A teaser is I bought a pair of floor speakers from the 1970s from a thrift store a few months ago for $15.
Interesting.
And they're quite large. They probably stand up about 3.5 feet tall, and they're about 14 inches wide, and there's two of them. So they're missing the little caps. A lot of them are missing the little foam dust cover things.
Right.
They don't work, and because I spent so little on them, they're still cool. I don't want to just throw them out. So what I decided to do was to make a little table out of them. So if you can imagine them standing up and facing out, I, through the use of other wood and brackets and things, attached them side to side, and I rotated them to where they would be like a table, and the tabletop portion is the speakers themselves facing up at you. So I put legs on the bottom of this, and I got one of those LED light strip things that you can buy on Amazon, and I still need to install that, but they'll run on the inside of the cabinet all the way around where the speakers are. I bought some new dust jackets, the caps that look like chrome, they're like a silver color, to glue back in place. And then I got some plexiglass, which I will mount over the top of it, so it is flat. And I got to get that cut to size. The Ace Hardware in our area is destroyed from the hurricane. So I have to find a place that will cut them to the right size for me because I don't want them to splinter as they're being cut. I don't have a bandsaw. That would be ideal. Maybe a jigsaw possibly, but I'm going to see if I can get a place to do it. All I have to say, once it's put together, I'll take photos of it, but it should be a thing that sits against the side of the wall. It's going to be over by my musical gear, my music area over here, the guitars and stuff, and you can turn on any sort of light. So it'll be, a tabletop. You can set stuff on it, but it's like speakers, like legitimate. It's made out of legitimate speakers.
Okay, we don't have time for this today, but I'm envisioning a whole show talking about taking these items and turning them. I know there's people out there that do this, and I love that. Like, to me, that's like, oh my God, what an amazing centerpiece in a room. To have this really cool sort of artistic tabletop. And anyway, wow, you are the craftiest. Cousin Rusty. Got nothing on you, Matt. All right. Well, we have run very long today, but we wanted to kick off the year with a bang. We're excited to be back with you guys. We'll be back with a brand new show last week. But any parting words of wisdom, Matt, as we always give out before we leave here?
It's going to be a good year, folks. Don't get stressed or worried in the beginning here. We're all cousins. Like, let's all treat each other well this year. Enjoy the rest of the time you have with your family because their work is always going to be there.
That's right.
We're up for a good year, I think.
Absolutely. All right, come on, 2025. Let's do it.
That's right.
All right, guys. We'll be back with a brand new show next week. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to follow, like, and subscribe. Otherwise, we'll see you later.